All right, we are here, man. Yeah, man.
Mhm.
Episode number 27.
Fantastic.
Hells yeah.
Hey, nice. I like it.
Yeah, man. Welcome, everybody, to episode number 27 of Cardboard and Cold Ones, where we raise our beers and cheers to the legends we admire on the cards that we collect.
Want to get that? I want to get that blue ribbon in there, nice and clear for everybody.
You're very Frank Booth. Do you know that reference?
I do not.
Hmm. Do you know there's a scene in a movie where two actors, very famous actors. One goes, "What kind of beer do you like?"
Blue
The other
velvet.
actor,
Blue velvet. Now I know.
yep,
Now I know. And it's Dennis Hopper.
Dennis Hopper.
PBR.
Yeah,
PBR.
and the character's name is Frank Booth.
Yes, you're right. Now I know what you're talking about.
And that was like the world's greatest beer plug in any
Yes.
movie, in my opinion.
And
That
they mentioned
doesn't get
Heineken.
any
Heineken.
better. Shit.
Exactly.
So, yes. So we're 2 weeks away from Strongsville, and I mean, to me, it's probably one of. I mean, the National's great, but I think Strongsville to me is more exciting and less chaotic, and
Yes.
easier to see friends and not have to feel burnt out by the end of it. Although it is kind of a trek to drive all the way back home, but you go with the flow and things.
How long is your drive, Sammy?
7 hours, but I'm doing it Wednesday. I'm leaving Wednesday night and staying over. I'm driving 5 hours that Wednesday night, staying over, sleeping in, and then Thursday morning it's like two and change.
Okay. I'm leaving Thursday morning, driving straight through with a friend of mine. And
Yep.
but it's like I said, it's only 5 hours. My cottage, we have a summer home in northern Wisconsin, and that's a 6-hour drive. So 5 hours is nothing for me. I can do it out of my head. But 7 and 8 starts to push a long trip.
That's why I decided to go Wednesday because the plan originally was to go with Mookie and Pete, but Pete might decide he wants to leave early, and unfortunately, with all the beyond Strongsville with the four collectors thing going on, I have to stay the entire time.
Sure, absolutely. No, and I get that. I totally get that.
Yeah. Let's see who's in the chat. Craig is here. Pastor Craig. Keith from Lonely Basement Baseball Cards. Peacemaker's here. Jay is here. Dan, the Vintage Baseball PC, 2 weeks from tonight. Munson Trout Collector. And Ruben Snyder is here, 2 weeks away from Jason growing a beard to blend in. And
it's a lot of gray, Ruben. It's a lot of gray.
Yeah, I mean, right now it's going to be, as far as beards are concerned, it looks like it's going to be myself, Scott, Steven with the PH if he decides to keep it.
Steven's getting luscious. He's getting luscious with the beard.
Yeah. I'm trying to think who else. Does anybody else have a long beard that I'm not thinking of?
Is Jake going?
No, Jake's not going.
Okay. No, that's it then, right? That's kind of it.
Yeah, Lenny, we're going to be here along. The beer's going to go fast, if that's the case. I don't know if you know. You probably saw from the video. Lenny promotes our show.
I've watched Lenny. You promoted him like a month ago. I know your buddies with him, and I just started to cling on to his channel and kind of watch what I can when I can.
It's a handshake deal.
Yeah.
He promotes Cardboard and Cold Ones. Yeah, it's pretty cool. So thank you, Lenny.
I want to hang out and have a beer with Lenny. That's what I want to do.
Yeah, he said he's not going to do Blankville this year. But he'll be. I think he said he's doing the Nationals, so that'd be cool.
Perfect.
But listen, we have a great guest tonight, and he's been on Four Collectors. He's been on a lot of platforms, a lot of shows, and he sent some scans in tonight for us to showcase some of his cards. But it's this is the first time we're trying it with scans, and I think it's going to be really awesome to see high definition quality photos of his collection. So let's bring him on in. That is Mr. Doug, Joe Wood Collector.
What's up, guys?
Doug, how are you, sir?
What's up, man?
Yeah, I'm doing awesome. I'm glad you had me on the show.
I'm super excited. For those who don't know Doug's channel, please take a look at it. He's got a fantastic collection. Today, I really want to pump his channel, and actually 2 channels technically now, right, Doug?
Yes. Jason and I are doing a thing together. It's past and present cardboard. If you have a chance, check it out.
Yes, absolutely. And we'll get into your channels, get into your collection. But for those who aren't familiar with you, I assume you collect a little Joe Wood, and give everybody a chance to get to know you, what you collect and what you prefer.
Yeah, just a little bit of Joe Wood. I'm kind of obsessed.
What can you tell? What can you tell us about what else you collect, Doug? What do you?
Well, I enjoy all baseball cards, to be honest, but I've got a very narrow focused plan, and that's to try to get as much Joe Wood material as I can. There's still some really obscure stuff out there that I'd like to try to get, and then any pre-war Hall of Fame players. I'm all in on that stuff.
Yeah, and I think everyone will see some of these because Doug's being quite modest here. I think once we start to go through these scans, you people are going to be quite amazed at what he's actually got. He's got an incredible collection.
If I could keep half of what I buy, I would be great.
Now,
I have to afford my habit.
Yeah. Do you turn things over for other cards?
I do. If I always buy pre-war, nice graded pre-war, nice eye appeal. Sometimes I buy it for my personal collection. Other times, I'm letting it roll for, a little bit of a profit. Just I can afford my habits.
How often do you buy cards with the intention of selling? Is it, compared to buying for your collection?
Well, every card that I buy, I would like to keep for my collection. So I'm not really buying it to resell. But times come up where a big card, if I know there's an auction coming up and I need to let loose of some stuff. Obviously, it's not the Joe Wood material, but other Hall of Famers.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, a few other Hall of Famers, a few others, some small guys.
Now, you mentioned before we hopped on that you were collecting pre-war for the past 15 years, but is it now just exclusively pre-war, or do you still dabble with some of the stuff from like the late 40s, 50s, and forward?
I really enjoy. I was collecting a lot of stuff in the 40s, but late 30s and early 40s. But I'm not even doing that right now. And then my background is a lot of 50s, 60s, and 70s material. And I kind of got out. Yeah, originally that's what I collected because I grew up watching a lot of baseball from the 70s and 80s, and that's the players that I really collected. I used to have a lot of PSA registry sets. I kind of got burnt out on them, and always had the interest of doing pre-war, but like you hear a lot, you just don't think that you can afford it. I can't afford that, but it's just all a matter of priority. If that's really what you want to do, you let loose some cards, and I let loose some high-end PSA registry sets and just dove in, and I haven't regretted it.
Yeah, and I think we said before we jumped on, most who watch my channel, I've never sold, I don't sell, I don't trade, I've never gotten rid of anything. I'm a pretty broad collector, and I have come to terms after watching all of these guys who have inspired me that it might be time to start to exchange some of my golden era stuff for some pre-war stuff that I really, really want. Right. And I had no anticipation of sizing down the collection, and it's not necessarily sizing it down, but I'm getting my biggest card ever at Strongsville, and I'm so excited about it that I'm thinking to myself, all right, it's time to start taking the path of Sammy and Doug and Aaron Value Vintage and everybody who does that. I'm gonna.
Yeah, I'm so happy for you.
Yeah, I'm kind of
excited.
Well, I don't know if I'm the best example since I've been buying a lot of Mays stuff lately. It's been nothing but maze. Been on a maze run.
Yeah, but that being said, Sammy, so not necessarily it's whatever you're sizing down to focus, right? I have no focus. I've said that since I started my channel, and I'm starting to gain focus into what I really enjoy. So even if it's maze stuff, you're focused. You know exactly.
No, of course. And but I think it's, like it's a lot of fun to kind of have an open-ended list of players or just items. But it's a bit of a curse too because there's so much.
Right. And that's where I'm at right now. Hey, how many graded Jim Bunning cards do I need? And I love Jim Bunning. How many graded cards of Early Win do I need? Or Aparicio, who I love. I'm a Sox fan, by the way.
Yeah.
Sox are in first place for all of you guys in the frat house making fun of me on the text today. They're in first place. So
so I figured maybe we'll just kind of dabble a little bit, show some of Doug's cards. There's a lot of slides. Yes. So I say, why don't we start with like 3 to kind of wet the whistle for people here?
Sure.
And then just you talk a little bit about them, and then we'll go back to some conversation.
Sure. I'd be glad to.
It's the first slide.
So this is a really early card of Joe Wood. This is from the Max Stein postcard set. I think this picture was probably taken in 1910. So I think the card is in the 1909 to 1910 range.
Wow.
So it's a pretty early card of his.
I love the postcards.
I do too.
Does this? I didn't present the backs on a lot of these. So was this a blank back or is this a postcard back? Or?
This is a postcard back.
Love it.
Yeah.
Oversized pre-war, my joy of all joys lately.
It's a great looking card, and now I'm trying to see what the year on this one is. They have a range on this, I guess, right?
Yeah, they do. Depending on, I think there was like 5 years. I can't read it, but I think there's a 5-year window on the Max Stein postcards.
Right. And when did what was the year where Joe Wood changed positions?
When he
later,
went to
right?
Cleveland in 1917.
So this would have been during the times when he was pitching.
Correct. Yes, he was not quite in his dominant prime, but he still had a really low ERA and was developing into one of the better pitchers in the league.
Incredible. That's a good start on a card there. Let's move to slide number 2. Oh, man. Richard, not even Rube.
I'm a big fan of Glory Other Times.
Me too.
One of my goals this year is to try to collect more of the players from the book Glory Other Times. And Sammy, you're reading the book right now. His story is just fabulous in the book.
It's my favorite. It's the first one in the book. It's my favorite.
Exactly. Right. Yeah. It really starts the book off well. So I had to have a Marquard. And I have an affinity for the T207 set. I know it doesn't get a lot of love. The T206 and the T205 get a lot more love. But it's partially because of who's in it and who's not in it. A lot of the big there's quite a few big stars that aren't in it, but you have a lot of players that are in it that aren't in some other sets also. So, and then I think the brown background, you either like it or you don't. I absolutely love it.
Yeah, I also love the pose that Marquard is in. And if you read that chapter where he's just talking about his life, you really kind of get so much more perspective out of all these different cards that he's been in. Yeah. And he's been a guy that felt like he really had to kind of prove everybody that he had the skills, he had the abilities. Nobody believed in him when he was young, and he came from a pretty well-off family. His dad was a big name in Cleveland, I think.
Yes.
And his dad thought baseball players were scoundrels, essentially.
Well, this is the Firehouse story, correct?
Yeah.
It is the Firehouse story.
And I think I actually learned it from Doug's channel. So for the
Yeah.
because I have not read the book, I learned it all from Doug's channel. So
Yeah, it's a remarkable story, and it was like 2 or 3 year difference between the time that he was sleeping near the firehouse to him having like a $12,000 contract with the New York Giants.
Yeah, that was monster. That was a monster contract at that time.
I don't know if it's 12. I can't remember, but it was something like that.
Yeah.
Let's see what else we got.
all right, break out the fire.
We're moving. Yep.
This is another project that I started. I've been thinking about for several years, but I've really concentrated on this year, and that is putting together the T207 1912 championship year Boston Red Sox, the whole team set from the T207 set. And there's 18 cards, and I'm like 5 cards into it so far. So I have a few to go, but I've been pretty picky on which cards I've been picking up. Some of these in the grades and the looks that I want in the card are kind of low pop, so they're a little tougher to get. So I'm just going to take my time and work on it. Hopefully I can find some at Strongsville and or the Nationals this year.
Do you have cards, and you don't have to talk about them if you don't want to, Doug? Do you have cards in mind that you're looking for at Strongsville?
Well, this would be actually part of it is the T207 Boston Red Sox cards that I still need.
Okay.
I still need 13 of the 18, so I have a ways to go.
Sure.
It's a goal that I want to start this year, but I'm not going to finish it this year. This is going to be a long process, I'm sure.
Sure.
Let's show one more card and then we'll go back.
Yep. Here's another one from
Yep.
that T207 Boston Red Sox.
So, I think let me put this back here. So, yeah, Dan was mentioning we thought we were talking about Waddell, and I don't know if there was a misunderstanding, because I know with Rube Waddell, he loved fire trucks and
right.
Chase after them, or would leave the stadium if you heard one.
Well, he was a little on the wild side.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, he was kind of a real unique character, right? He was the Mad Hungarian of his time, and just kind of was an offbeat kind of person, if I'm not mistaken, from what I know.
Yeah, he would just leave the pitching mound and leave a ball game right in the middle of a game.
Yeah, that's craziness to me. That's insane. So, yeah, and now I know, Doug, you have started. We mentioned briefly you started another channel. I was familiar with them and actually looking at them at the time that I watched the episode where you did the Ferguson, the 1916 Ferguson pennants. Yeah. So I got the deep dive on that, and that might be something I'm targeting at Strongsville, because they're somewhat affordable for the players that I'm looking for.
Right.
And most of my budget has been spent already. So that's the
kind
of thing that
they're so unique, and all the pictures are taken from the M101. /4 and 5 sets. They're all the exact same pictures. So I just think they're marvelous, and they're sitting for display next to your cards. Man, they just make the perfect companion.
Yeah, I think they're fantastic. Absolutely. Yeah. I know actually they've redone them recently.
Yeah. 2012.
Yeah, 2012 I think was the year. So recent for an old guy like me, but modern, if you will.
Right.
I think they're a little bit wider than the original ones, but have current players on them, or players of that era, 2012 on them, which are kind of cool too. Yeah,
I'm actually I've talked to Aaron about this too, because he has a couple of the Ferguson Bakery felts too. He has, I think, 2 Sisslers.
I think he had 2 or 3 Sisslers. He might have
in at least 2 different colors.
Yeah.
I have 3 Joe Woods in 3 different colors, and I'm going for the rainbow.
Right.
The only problem is I don't know what the rainbow consists of. I know they've made 6 different colors, but for each individual player, I'm not sure what the colors were. So
right. I'm looking for my guys. So I'm Eddie Collins,
Yes.
Ray Shulk is another one I'm looking
Right.
for. So, my whole thing is finding, even if I start to narrow down towards pre-war, still staying broad. I love the Ferguson Bakery pennants. I love the Colgan chip cards. I mean, just those different sets of that era are so intriguing to me. I think they're fantastic.
Yeah, I totally agree. Right now, there's a Eddie Collins on eBay right now. That's pretty nice.
Yeah, for about $225, I think is what I saw it for. Yeah. So
if I wasn't headed to Strongsville, I'd be quite tempted.
Well, that's the thing. If I go to Strongsville, I'll walk the floor for a day or two. If I don't see anything, I'll just buy that off of line if it's still available.
There you go.
Yes.
So Stephen was asking us, Jason, if we're going to be doing a live stream on that Thursday.
I never thought about it, Sammy, but it sure would be fun.
Yeah, I mean, there's some Ford Collectors thing that's happening that Thursday.
Is that the trade night?
No. Thursday is trade night's gonna be Saturday, but the Thursday is probably I think John and Theo are gonna be doing something.
Well, we don't want to compete with them. Yeah. No,
but I think we should do. We can. I mean, as long as the hotel signal is good enough, we can sit at one of the tables near the bar and just have a beer and.
I could totally do that.
Yeah.
and the first time I met Doug was at Strongsville last year. We met briefly and got to chat a little bit.
That's what I'm really looking forward to Strongsville this year because I was new to the community. And I knew a lot of other people, but if you had a newer station or a newer channel, I really wasn't that familiar. So I'm really looking forward to kind of deep diving into getting to talk to more people this year. That's going to be fun.
Yeah, we were both fairly new at that point. How long have you had your channel, Doug?
I think I started in late February.
Okay.
And I think you started around Christmas or something?
I started on Christmas Day. So yeah, it was the first post that I made. So not terribly too far in front of you.
Right. I seen you and Aaron.
Yeah, that's where I met Aaron.
Right.
So I met Aaron and I met our mutual friend Joe. So and that's who I'm actually driving to Strongsville with, Joe. So
Jokes on you, Ruben. We're gonna make that our new intro song.
I make sure to play the
Baja Boys. Baja Men. It's the Baja.
Is it Baja Men? I thought it was the boys, so I thought you were right.
That's close enough.
So break out some more fire from Doug. I almost called Doug Joe.
But before I, Doug, you're gonna be participating in the trade night as well?
Oh, most definitely.
Will you need? Do you know how much stuff you're bringing with you?
I'm not bringing a bunch. I'm really not. Maybe a very small case of stuff.
Okay. The only reason why I ask is because
is bringing probably quite a bit more.
Who's that?
Jason. That I do the.
Not me. Other Jason.
Yeah, right. Yes.
Yeah. Right.
Jason from Carden Comics.
Yes.
Another channel.
Okay. I just want to mention because we're if anybody needs more dedicated space, we're going to have a lot of tables set up so people can just kind of put their stuff wherever they want. But for anybody that has 40, 50 cards they're bringing, if they want a dedicated space, like a table, they can meet up with us before the event starts, and we can set them up. But they just have to let us know beforehand if they wanted to do that.
Sammy, I may get in touch with you on
there. My buddy Jason's going to meet me there, but I haven't really got to talk to him about how much he's actually bringing.
Okay.
Sammy, I may get in touch with you. I got to reach out to my buddy Joe, who does a lot of selling and trading, and every time I'm at a show with him, he's got a satchel full of 50 or 60 cards. So he might be doing that again. If he is, we can dedicate a spot to him. I'll reach out to him.
Perfect. Lou Rock, but that's a good question. We should be watching baseball. That's the one thing is you always want to have a game in the background. It's such good ambience.
Right.
So let's bring up more of Doug's cards. So this is where we left off. Let's go to slide number 5. I think I have these in order, so there's gonna be a lot.
That's great. And I picked up all these since I think December.
Who do we got there? Because I can't see it.
I can't see it either.
Stanley, is it Stanley Yerkes?
Yes, he's. If I'm not mistaken, I think he was the first person to have a hit at the new park in 1912.
Wow, that's cool. That's a great card to have just for that alone.
Right.
Amazing. Yep. Let's see what else we got here. All right.
Yeah, this is one of my favorite characters from the book, Heine Groh, and it is the T3 card, and this is part of the collection that I'm putting together for. I got a showcase that I'm not really utilizing right now. It's a stand-up showcase, kind of like the one that's right behind me back here.
Sure.
And I'm just gonna have it's gonna be the Glory Other Times showcase. And I'm just gonna display some of the players from that. I just picked up in the REA auction a Stanley Kovaleski.
Oh,
from
cool.
Hall of Famer from the Cleveland Indians, and it's the 1921 exhibit card. His cards are pretty tough to find. He doesn't have a whole lot of cards. He's kind of like Joe Wood. All the sets that he could be in, and he's not. That's kind of like the Kovaleski. He was a dominant pitcher at the time, and he just doesn't have a whole lot of cards. So it's tough to find cards of him.
And the 21 exhibit set's phenomenal. It is a great set.
They're awesome pictures.
Yeah, fantastic images. Of course, what comes to my mind is the Eddie Collins is just a fantastic image.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we all know that guy.
Yeah. This was the very first pre-war car that I bought.
What year? What year did he buy? What year did he buy this one?
Let's see. I'm thinking 2010, maybe. Yeah, I think 2010, 9 or 10. I kind of looked back.
How much was a 4 going for at that point?
I think I paid. I think it's like $1,700.
Wow!
Yeah,
that's fantastic.
Yeah, and I thought, oh man, can I do this? I just don't know if I can do this. At the time.
You know what, Mangini? You're not wrong, man. Classing this series up with this guest. We've had scoundrels up until this point, I guess.
That's right. That is just a beauty, and it's a 4. Yeah. Am I correct in seeing? Because I'm terrible eyesight. That is so beautifully centered. Yeah. The background's phenomenal.
Oh, yeah, the background is what got me.
Yeah.
I absolutely love the red background. I would love to have the green, but I just can't get past the red.
Right. Now, what is the back? Do you know what the back is?
Piedmont.
Yeah, it is Piedmont.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, it's it's just one of the common backs.
There we go. There. And now we're bringing out some guns.
So I just recently purchased this one. I've had this card. I've kind of lost track. I've had this particular card in a PSA 4 holder, but I was just never happy with them.
Okay.
I didn't like the centering. Didn't like the centering. I didn't like the chipping. Sammy was driving me crazy with the really nice 3 that he had. I like the presentation on that one.
Yeah, man. Let me.
Yeah. One. And it's just great eye appeal for a 3.
So just so you guys know, that's an important card on my list, and mine will be a 1. So just so you guys are aware, mine might be a little more tattered.
If it's gonna be a 1, it's all about finding
the right one.
Yeah,
no pun intended.
And I was I never bought the right ones. I bought the right ones at the time. I wasn't as picky. And, you get it in hand and you're thinking, man, why did I buy that? I mean, it's not what I really wanted, but it's just one of those cards that's it's easy to move. So I just kept moving it around. I think I've had 3 previous copies. And like I said, they were all 4s, different degrees of 4s, and not all grades are the same, as we all know.
Exactly.
That is beautiful.
Thank you.
Oof.
This
Man, oh,
is
man.
also one of the early cards that I bought, I think in maybe 2009 or 2010 also.
Is that the Sporting News set? Is that the
That is Sporting
Yeah.
Life.
Sporting Life.
I'm sorry, Sporting
Yeah.
Life.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the M116.
Yeah.
Yeah, I bought the Wagner, I bought the Johnson, I bought the Mathewson, and a Eddie Plank,
Wow.
and another one. I can't remember who it was, which I no longer have. Cobb. I
Okay.
bought all 5 of those together within like a 3-month period, and this was in
Oh my God.
2000.
And how long ago was that?
I think 2010, 10 or 11. I
Okay.
bought a lot of the stuff that I really can't afford now. I feel real fortunate that I was able to pick it up at that point.
That's fantastic. Beautiful, beautiful example.
Thank you. Yeah, that's a keeper.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. And then this one here, I had been eyeballing on Net 54 boards for probably a good year, and it didn't sell, and it kept hanging around, and I kept thinking I really ought to buy that. It is a blank back M101, and it had glue residue on the back, and just the slightest bit of paper loss. And I'm like, who cares? It's a blank back.
Right. Exactly.
And so finally, I contacted the guy, and we talked back and forth, and I hem-hawed around, and I couldn't sleep one night. I just pulled the trigger.
That's phenomenal.
He just woke up in the middle of the night. It's like, you know what? Let's do it.
Yeah, and if I'm not mistaken, it says manager at the bottom, right? If I'm not mistaken on that card.
I can't remember.
I thought it did. I might be wrong.
No, I don't think so.
No,
I think
no.
it was left field.
Okay.
yeah, left field, right?
Yeah, on that one there.
Yeah. This one here, I think I bought this probably about 5 years ago, and I was really looking for a Gaudi, and the Gaudis were at that time. This is in the COVID period. These cards had taken off. I mean, they were crazy.
Yes.
And I ran across this one here, and absolutely loved it. First, it's just it's a lot tougher card than the Gaudi. If you look at the pop counts on this card compared to the Gaudi, it's probably 15%, 10 or 15% of the Gaudis. And then the only thing I didn't like, the only reason that I didn't pull the trigger faster on this was the cut on the bottom. But then I got to realizing that this is pretty inherent to this card, and you really can't get away from it.
Right. Right.
And the back is beautiful, and it has a very slightest surface wrinkle that with the naked eye you really can't even see.
No.
It's right under the bat on the right side of the card. But it is a gorgeous card.
It is beautiful.
Yeah.
Apparently, Greg wants to buy a bunch of your stuff. Maybe
I'm actually taking this one to Strong's Film because I'm always on the look to maybe trade up,
right,
for another Ruth. Not that I don't like this one, because I think this is probably one of the cards that I'm into really good, and I think the potential for this card is just crazy good because of the low pop.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I know you were throwing some numbers out there earlier, Doug. This particular set, the price itself isn't that far off from the Gaudis, though. Do you find that? And the pop is much more scarce. Is that fair to say?
Yes, it's much more scarce. Yeah.
Yeah. But you're not paying the premium that you think you would based on the scarcity, which is.
Well, I think finally that OPC cards are kind of in the same boat, but they're actually starting to get some traction now.
Okay.
People are finally catching on that the OPC are, a mere skeleton of what Topps production numbers are.
Right.
Are. So.
No, that's a beautiful, beautiful card. I love it.
Yeah, that's my only Babe Ruth. So I would only trade it for another Ruth.
It's a requirement at this point.
Yeah, definitely. Just recently picked up this really, really pretty too. And I needed the Tris Speaker. I've had this card at least 2 other times, and at that point, I wasn't putting together the T207 Boston Red Sox team set, and so I had traded them or sold them off. But this one is a 2 technical grade, but it's every bit as nice as the PSA 4s that I had at one point. So I'm absolutely thrilled with this one.
Yeah, that's a case of kind of because that giant number, which doesn't mean anything, not right. I just saw the Prez is on. You can trade down, get a beautiful card, and then get a little more money in your pocket if you had a 4 in the past. So
right, exactly.
Yeah.
Just about being patient.
Yeah, that's what it is, which I don't have a lot of. I personally don't, Doug. So.
Look at this one.
I think I purchased this one probably about 8 years ago. I think in like 2017, 2018. A gentleman that I had bought several Joe Wood cards, and he's a big Boston Red Sox fan. He said, "Do you have any interest in this Gehrig card?" And I'm like, "Well, yeah."
Who doesn't?
Send me some scans, and I just fell in love with it. I had to get it.
That's phenomenal. A phenomenal example.
That's cool, man.
For sure. I knew Sammy would like this one.
Right.
I do. I enjoy it. Yeah, man.
I bought this one. This was in a REA auction last year, and they had 2 4s, both black caps. The one went for quite a bit more money than this one, and I thought this one was nicer looking. So, and everybody jumped on the first one, and I think this one just kind of slid under.
It's always nice.
And I was able to get it for a really good price. I'm like, it's not really what I was looking for in that auction, but I just couldn't pass it up.
I think you answered this earlier. Are you you're still working on the Red Sox T207 set?
Yes, I'm currently 5 cards into the 18 card set, so I do have a ways to go. But it's a long-term project.
If Mark has duplicates, man, maybe
I was just going to say the guy who was asking.
The guy was asking that question. Mark would be the man that would have it.
Yeah, exactly right. Exactly.
You got some extras, Mark. Bring them.
Let's see what else.
Oh, there we go.
Let's see. Okay. Yeah, I'm having a hard time seeing. I don't have my glasses on. I think this is the Herpelsheimer Joe Wood. Kind of an interesting story. I did one of my videos on this card.
Yes, I watched it. That's a great little story on the collection.
So at the time when I initially seen the original, there's 2 cards in the PSA Pop report, and one had showed up right before the Strongsville show, like 2 or 3 years ago. And I had missed out on it. It went for more money than I thought it would. No pun intended. And then, so I was kind of disappointed. I'm like, wow, I just missed out on a 1-of-1 card. I probably should have paid up for it. And then later that year, I think it was November of last year, Love of the Game auction, they had the Herpelsheimer find. And they were found in a Band-Aid box. Yep. And I think there was like 30 or 40 cards. And the Joe Wood just happened to be one of them. And I was fortunate enough to be able to win that auction. So I'm thrilled. It's a Pop 2 card.
That is fantastic and a beautiful card. Absolutely beautiful.
Let's see. This is
Indianapolis Brewing Company.
Right. This is kind of a kick that I'm on right now. I'm really enamored with the M101 cards, and I don't know. I'm probably going to do a deep dive on one of my episodes if I can ever find time to put this video out. I'm really struggling with finding time to do this stuff. Always good intentions. I have the knowledge on it. I just need to do it. But
we get it. Trust me, I get it.
Yeah, I've been enamored with the M101s and all the different backs that they have. This one here is probably of the 18 different backs that are out there. This is probably 9 or 10 on the list as far as rarity. They're a tougher card, not the rarest and not the toughest, but anybody that knows. And plus, I'm from Indianapolis, so when this one came up, I'm like, I gotta have it.
Right.
And, I think there is 2. This is a Pop 2 card, so there's 2. Unless one has got added here recently, which could be because they are finding them here and there. This was actually in a PSA holder. I bought it in a PSA holder, and it was a PSA 4. And I could not stand the baggy PSA holder that they had it in, and it was swimming in there, and it scared me. And I'm like, I am an SGC fan. I think they're much more consistent of a grader. Actually, when I sent it in and they said, well, we can't give it a 4. I'm like, no, you grade it the way, you grade cards. Give it what it actually is that you think it is. So I was fine with the 3.5. What's the difference between a 3.5 and a 4? Doesn't change the look of the card any to me.
Right.
That's right. Exactly
right.
So
I'm like, put it in that black tuxedo and send it back to me. So I just like them. I feel more secure. It's looks better with the black background and it's secure. I'm happy with it.
I agree, and I am an SGC fan as well, and you're putting a smile on Mangini's face when you hear that you didn't like the baggie and it's swimming around. He's loving that.
It's awful. I mean, so I just got an order back from SGC last week. They had it for 7 weeks, and but which seems like an abnormally long amount of time for SGC. But I think these specials that they're running with the modern cards and the 70s and 80s stuff, I think just killed them.
Yeah, I don't know if you're on Instagram at all, Doug. Peter from SGC actually put out like a 3-minute Instagram.
I did see that.
Explaining that those specials were killing their lead times, and was forthright enough to do so. More than I get out a lot out of the other ones. I took
the plunge, and anything that was in a PSA holder, especially if it was a nasty holder, I sent them all in and had them put them in SGC holders. I'm more comfortable with them not bouncing around in those holders, and I just like the looks of them a lot better.
I agree. And Lou Rock, get your World Series tickets now because the Sox are in first place. So get those tickets, baby.
So I was going to go back to the chat a little bit. If this is the same Ben Fisher I spoke to yesterday, which I'm thinking is very likely, Ben, thank you so much for facilitating a huge card purchase for me. I've shared it with Jason and Doug, but I'm keeping it as secret as possible until Strongsville. That was a huge thing. But Ben has a question, and I think we're coming up to it. You have the Fleischmann Bakery, Joe Wood. I think you do.
Yes, sir. Yes.
We're coming up to that because the Mathewson Fleischman Bakery postcard is one that I really like too. And
Right.
so yeah, I think we're coming up to that one.
That's a big money card.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
But-
Sam, and you're much better at keeping your mouth closed. I couldn't keep my mouth closed. We had no
I'm not
cardboard.
very good at it.
We had no cardboard and cold ones last Thursday, so Aaron and I did a live, and I leaked out what my big card was. So I
It's
just
hard. I mean,
Right.
I shared it with some people already,
Right.
but not. I'm saving it for when I get to Strongsville
Absolutely.
because it really killed my budget is completely. Yeah.
Well, yeah, that was the only thing. Once I leaked out what my card was, I simply said, "And I'll be hanging out at Strongsville."
Yeah.
So-
I'll have enough for one beer and that's it.
Right.
It's worth it, Jason.
It was well
Oh,
worth it.
yeah.
I need to. I've debated whether I show the picture on a video in the recent coming 2 weeks before Strongsville, or I'll just wait till I have it in hand. So,
Right. Yeah. That's a good one.
If you need help, I can sort of see what this one's
Yeah.
the homes to.
Oh, the homes to homes. Okay,
Yeah.
so so there's a funny story behind this. There's a channel. I think it's the gentleman's name is Ryan McClanahan, and he's in on some of the lives, and he has a really good station, and he has great. He's a journalist, and he has some great programming, and he did a video on the homes to homes M101 5 card that he picked up at the Nationals, I think a year or two ago. And I'm like, wow, those things are super, super rare. There's only 80 out of the 200 in the set that are out there. And most of them were found in a scrapbook. So they have, most of them have back damage.
Sure.
And so I emailed Ryan. I said, man, that is a great card. And he said, well, maybe someday, you'll find the Joe Wood. And I laughed. I'm like, yeah, there's only one in existence. I doubt that I'm ever going to see it. And we kind of left it at that. And about a month ago, noticed that showed up on Net 54 boards. Incredible. And then and there are some other YouTubers who contacted me about it and said, hey, did you know about this? I'm like, yeah, I seen it. I said, but I think he's a little astronomical on his price. But, it's hard to tell. It's a one-of-one card. Who's
Right.
to say what it's worth, to be honest. And Dan from Dentist Vintage Baseball, we were talking back and forth, and he goes, if I was you're Joe Wood collector, get a hold of him and see if you can work out a price that you feel comfortable with. And so I'm like,
Yeah.
what I'm comfortable at is going to come down quite a bit.
Sure.
Well, I got to talking to him, and I sent him. He goes, "Are you a Joe Wood collector?" Because when I emailed him, he had no idea that I was with Joe Wood collector because I was under my other email, and I sent him some links to my Instagram page, and he come back and he goes, "I would really like to see this go to a Joe Wood collector," and then it was on, and we started talking price, and he got it somewhere pretty close to where I wanted to be, and I'm like, I got to pull the trigger.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
Yeah, it was not cheap, but it's a one-of-one. I'll never get this opportunity to own this card again.
Right.
So,
and that's the great thing about this hobby. When you hear people say that, oh, you collect him specifically, and knowing how rare that card is, he knows it's not going anywhere. So he's going to work with you.
right.
He knows that he knows where it belongs, and it belongs with you, quite honestly. So that's perfect.
Well, I'm glad he thought that way because I'm absolutely thrilled to have it. It came to me raw, and it had originally been in an SGC holder, and he had the old SGC holder tag. And of course, it was an SGC 110, and he brought a collection of them, and he broke all of them out, and he had them in a binder with the original SGC tags along with it. So when I purchased it, I sent in the original SGC tag with it. That way that they could know that it was the original one that's on the pop report.
Sure.
And then when they transfer it over and give it a new number, they would know that that is the same card.
Yeah, and then at that point in time, because it's been cracked, they still regrade it, do they not? I mean, it's not like a reholder; it's a regrade.
That is absolutely correct.
Yeah,
it's a really nice card, but it does have it came from a scrapbook. It has a little bit of paper loss on the back, and it's a really unique. Actually, let's see. I think I have it right here. It's a really unique back.
Let me see. Hold on. Oh, messed that up.
Oh, yeah.
Let me bring you in. There you go.
There we go.
Let's see.
There you go.
I don't know if you can see it from the glare and stuff, but
yeah, you've got the same.
My camera's moving, of course.
I do the same. My camera does the same thing, and I don't know how to fix it.
This is why I don't show.
It can't sit still because of how much awesomeness there is on the screen.
That's a cool back.
Yeah, it is. It really is unique. So the story behind it is it was when Mendelson, it was the publisher and the printer for these cards. He put the M101 5 and 4 set together. He first printed the M101 5 set, which oddly enough does not have Ty Cobb in it. Ty Cobb didn't have a card in the set until they went and printed the M101 4s, which was probably 4 or 5 months after they did the M101 5. But so this was from a Washington, D.C. bakery. And what you could do is if you bought a 10-cent loaf of bread, you would get one card. Well, 10 cents wasn't cheap in 1916.
Sure.
So to put a 200 card set together, which is what you needed to do to win a prize, without any duplicates, that was quite the feat. I mean, that was a lot of bread. But some of the prizes that you could win by sending in all 200 from the set was you could get a uniform, gloves, and or what was the third prize? Catcher equipment for a team of 10. So it was quite the prize.
Wait,
so there was only
game used?
No, brand new equipment.
Okay.
For a team of 10. That was the prize that you could win. But you had to have all 200 cards from the set.
Right. So you're talking about, what are you talking about? A little over $20 in bread you'd have to buy in 1916 to hopefully get the entire set.
Exactly.
Yeah, which is just a lot of money in 1916.
So, they have found the article from the Washington Times that said that they gave away 3 complete prizes. A first prize, a second prize, and a third prize. So 3 people actually put the complete set together and sent it in.
Wow.
So you have 600 cards that were sent in and were stamped and then destroyed. And then because it was a small bakery, they really didn't print a lot of cards because they weren't a big bakery. They printed sheets and 200 card sheets, but during whatever they didn't give away because it was so hard to get the prizes, they threw them away.
Wow.
During the World War I paper drives.
Think about that. My gosh.
Yeah, so I mean, this is extremely rare. Plus, the M1015 was printed very early on in 1916, and in a much lower quantities. And then when M101 4s came out, Mendelssohn kind of directed it towards sporting news.
Okay.
And that's why we today call the set the sporting news. You know, they made a lot of sporting news backs and a lot of blank backs on the M101 4 set. But the 5 set was a lot of the more rare, smaller, like Block and Cool. There's quite a few. There's probably about 4 or 5 that are extremely rare, and this is probably the rarest one out there.
Wow. I love the education. I love it.
Yeah.
This is fantastic.
It's just interesting. I get all geeky with all the history on this stuff.
That's awesome. That is fantastic.
So I was absolutely thrilled. I called Ryan McClanahan back, and I said, "You're not going to believe what I got." And I took a picture of it and texted it to him, and he was congratulating me. I think we had like a 2.5-hour conversation on the phone that night.
Sure, so, just talking about the card and the trigger.
Yeah, just talking about the card, and it was a great time.
That's awesome. That is phenomenal. Well, fire away. What else? Oh, gee, there we go.
So, again, here's another one of the M101s. This is I think this is the Block and Cool set that I was talking about, and it's another one of they made cards in both the M101 5 set, which was the first set they made, and then they also made it in the -4 set. So what they would do is they changed the numbers and players. So early on in the M101 5, if somebody changed teams, because right then at that time you had the Federal League had just disbanded, and so you had a lot of displaced players, and they were moving, and they were the Federal League was dispersing their players.
Sure.
And you had a lot of players changing teams. Well, early on when they first started printing the 200 card set, the M101-5s had a lot of players that they needed to change what teams they were going to. So on the M101-4s, you're going to notice a lot of different players, and they added Ty Cobb also to the set. So
that's cool.
Yeah, it was pretty interesting. But the Block and Cool is probably on a scale of 1 to 18, 1 being the sporting news. Probably that's the one they made the most of. And then you have a blank back, and then you have like Famous and Bar. Those are the 3 that they really made a lot of. After that, they started getting a lot tougher. And I think Block and Cool is probably right around, the 18 is probably around 14 or 15. So it's a really, really tough one.
What is the toughest back, Doug? Do you know?
Well, the toughest back to get is not, you rarely ever see it. It's called Successful Farming.
Okay.
And but they have found a lot more of the Successful Farming than they have of this back right here, or the Homes to Homes.
Okay.
So it's actually rare, but to find a Successful Farming back is extremely rare also. So
okay,
it's kind of a toss up.
Right. Once you get down to once it's that scarce, it becomes all right. What are we talking about here?
Right. Yeah.
Sure.
There we go.
Yeah, there we are.
Fleischmann's. Yeah, the Fleischmann's Bakery. That was what Ben was asking about earlier.
Right. Yeah, this is one of my favorite cards. I just absolutely love that picture. 1916 was a phenomenal year for baseball cards because it was the first year that they put out live action photos. The only thing is they were black and white. Where before you had all the artwork, and then you had the crazy other ones that are sketches and really doesn't look all that much like the players. Where these were live action photos in black and white. 1916 was a big year because you had the M101s, you had the Fleischmann Bakery, then you also have Ferguson Bakery. Ferguson Bakery is even rarer than the Fleischmann because they made hardly anything of those. They were just, and they were also put into bread, loaves of bread also. So,
do we have the scan of the Ferguson?
It looks exactly the same, except the coupon at the bottom, instead of saying Joe Wood, Red Sox, Boston Red Sox, it's all on one line.
Okay.
And in the coupon, it mentions that there's a different price for Ferguson Bakery, and it mentions Ferguson Bakery instead of Fleischmann's. But they both use the Underwood and Underwood photo. So it's the exact same photo. You can barely tell the difference in them. But the Ferguson is quite a bit more rare than the Fleischmann.
Okay, gotcha.
I think there is three or four of this card, but this is the only one with the coupon on it.
Wow.
I always get a kick out of it when we're talking to certain collectors. My buddy Aaron at Value Vintage being one of them, and Doug being another one. Everyone talks about what is scarce and what is not, and then when they rattle off, yeah, this is the only one, or there's two others out there. It blows my mind to hear that. So I mean, I'm not at that level of card collecting, and to hear that is fantastic.
Yeah, I will. I enjoy it. It took me probably 8 or 9 years of heavy investigating, making good contacts, talking to a lot of people for this one to come about. So I was really glad that it showed up finally.
That's beautiful. Beautiful piece.
Yeah. Now this is one that
news.
This is a blank back. So this is a little more common card, and you're going to find the blank backs in a little nicer condition because they made so many. So I was really fortunate to find a nice crispy copy.
Now there are 18 backs, you said. Is that correct, Doug?
Yeah, there's actually 20 backs, but 2 of them were only printed in full sheet forms, and they were never cut down.
Okay, so 18 singular cards, 2 full sheets.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay. Of the 18, how many do you have?
I see. I have the blank back. I have 5.
Wow, that's crazy.
I used to own several other ones, but I just didn't like the condition of them, and they weren't so rare that I couldn't let loose of them.
Sure.
So I decided to let loose of a couple of them.
Yeah, and I don't want to, again, now this will probably hurt Mangini's ears. I don't want to disregard the fact that one's a 7. So I see Dan mentioning that. I'm like, yeah, no kidding, that's insane. So
yeah, it's a big number too.
Yeah.
I like there's sort of, I think it's Orlando. Sometimes when he's doing videos, he'll put a sticker over the top card.
Yeah, he puts it.
He wants you to. He forces you to look at the card and not the grid, which is great. I absolutely love that.
I know on his mantle he's got a sticker over the top of it. His channel sticker. So
right, yeah.
Now that's insane right there. And we all know how these have just skyrocketed. They're crazy. They're going crazy.
This one here, I was on a Facebook group probably about 4 or 5 years ago, and I was looking at a really, really old post where another collector had picked this up, and I got to look at the rest of his cards, and I'm like, this seems unusual that he would own this card, and that would be the only Boston Red Sox card that he owns. So I hit him up. Well, there's Ryan McClanahan's on the history of cards. Yeah,
right there.
Yeah. So I contacted him. I said, hey, would you be interested in selling your Joe Wood? And he goes, well, only if I can get another Hall of Famer. And I said, would you be interested? And I'm like, well, for one thing, Joe Wood's not in the Hall of Fame.
Right.
But I said I had at the time a SGC 5, a really nice looking Trish speaker. And I'm like, would you be interested in a Trish speaker? He goes, that's exactly who I was looking for.
Cracker Jack?
Yeah.
Wow. Wow. In a 5?
In a 5. It was a nice, it was a really nice card. So we were able to work out a deal with some cash and the card, and I was able to get this one here. So
that's awesome.
Because the cash came my way.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Because Trish is in the Hall. So,
right. So yeah, I was very pleased that they got this one right here.
That is phenomenal.
Yeah.
This one is the Boston Daily postcards.
Yeah.
Incredible.
This is another really tough one. I think I've done a video on it. I think this is also a Pop One card.
I love hearing that.
I knew about this card, but I had just I'd seen it on Net 54, so I'd seen a picture of it, so I did know it existed, and I seen it in the Sports Collector, not the Sports Collector Digest, but the big almanac. Can't think of the name of it right now. That lists everything.
Right.
The Lou copy, and so I knew it existed, but then I seen a picture of it on that 54 board, and so I just contacted them and said, "Hey, I know you don't have this for sale, but I seen it." I said, "I'm a big Joe Wood collector. I would love the opportunity to either trade or buy this from you if you ever decide to get rid of it." So years go by, and he finally contacts me, and I thought I made him a really made him a really good offer. I thought it was a really good offer, and he turned it down because I think I'm just going to put it in one of the big auction houses. And so he did. Fortunately, he let me know what auction house he put it in, and I was able to win it through the auction house.
Was it less than what you offered him?
Yes. Not by much, but yes.
Right. That's the gamble. Yeah. That's the gamble. Right. And even if it was the same amount, he's paying fees, right? So at the end of the day, it was, that's crazy.
But yeah, he rolled the dice, and I think he still did all right, because I think he's owned this card for 20 plus years, 25 years or something.
Wow. He did fine.
He said he got this card from Lou Lipset back in the 90s.
Oh, geez.
Yeah.
Well, then he did fine regardless. At the end of the day, it was a net profit for him. So.
Right. Yeah, I absolutely love the postcards, or the postcard and the exhibit cards. It's just it's that much more to enjoy. I mean, you get to see all the details and kind of the stuff that you miss on a smaller size tobacco card.
We've got to represent for Stooks. He was on that train years and years and years ago.
Oh yeah, definitely. And
I love him too as well.
I've commented on Scott's channel about. I just remember in the 70s and 80s when every card show that I would go to, you would see the exhibit cards, and they were like you couldn't hardly give them away.
Right.
Nobody really wanted them. They were boring and they were plentiful at the time.
Sure.
And then that sure has changed.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, you can still find some of the golden era stuff, not in the best condition. There's a local dealer here in Illinois who had a bunch, and I picked up. Technically, it's an exhibit, but it was a Gowdy wide pen I picked up from him. One for really cheap price of a Hall of Famer. So they're out there. If condition isn't your top priority, and it is not for me. Obviously, I want the best looking card I can get, but if I can get the card at a price that I can't pass up and it's still acceptable, I'm all over it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. This was probably my Grail card as far as Joe Wood cards, because I was absolutely in love with this one all the way back in when I started collecting pre-war in 2009 or 2010. This is the one card that I really, really wanted. But a lot of them that you find, I've been burgered with, or they were not quite the condition and the eye appeal that I wanted. I probably paid too much for this card, but I don't care. It was my Grail card.
Right,
And,
but you say when did you purchase it?
I purchased this, I think, in 2020, 2021. Okay. Yeah.
Is too much for the card from 2020 still too much, or you're good now?
Yeah. Well, yeah. I'm still good. I mean,
right. Exactly.
There's not many cards out there in these grades in this condition. So, this is also from the high number series.
Okay.
That's what Ben was asking. Ben was asking if there was a short print.
Yes, definitely. Also, Tris Speaker is also a short print from the high series.
Okay.
They actually thought that they were done with the first two releases, and then they decided to add a third series. And it just happens to be that Joe Wood and Tris Speaker are both from that.
Amazing.
Yeah, love this card. I've owned the Speaker from that set several times also, but I've traded it off or sold it.
See how everybody influences me? Everybody's trading it off or selling. So
yeah, well, you gotta make sacrifices to get what you really want.
I think that's what's gonna have to happen. I think I'm leaning towards that route.
Yeah.
So this was actually the last card from on the presentation list. I'm sure there were more, but these are the ones that I was able to grab.
Sure. Yeah.
But, I mean, hell of a showcase.
Oh my gosh.
To say the least.
Thank you.
Yeah, you had the chat really kind of just mouth watering over the pieces there. So I mean, true incredible collection. And as you said, for 15 years you've been building this up. So truly remarkable.
It does not seem like 15 years. I just remember. Oh, I've collected since like the early 70s.
Right.
I think my 71, putting the 71 top set together was my introduction to actual collecting. Now, I remember buying 69 tops packs in between games in Little League Baseball. You know, go to the canteen and buy some bubble gum and some pack of cards and open them. And so from 71 up until when I started pre-war in 2010, I was consistently collecting cards. And so in hindsight, the last 15 years seems like really, really fast.
Yeah, with the blink of the eye when you're talking.
Yeah, when you get older, it goes fast anyway. So
right.
But yeah, I'm where I'm supposed to be, and I know it. So I'm happy. I'm really happy. There's some cards that I miss from the 50s, 60s, and 70s, and I would still, if I had unlimited funds, I would be purchasing 40s, 50s, 60s stuff again.
Sure.
I absolutely love it. But I got to keep my blinders on and keep in my lane and get what I can get.
Good focus.
Yeah.
I know we're creeping up on an hour and 15, Sammy, but before we end this all, I implore all of you to please go follow Doug. I mean, you guys saw just a snippet of what he's got. It's absolutely amazing.
I have his webpage open, so I'm going to just quickly present that and just kind of go through the page so you guys can see.
Yeah.
So this is Doug's page. I think since we started, you had like 316 subscribers. We got 5 more, which is great.
Awesome.
Yeah, I mean, you can kind of just see, you're really kind of the Mangini video right there. I remember that was the whole thing a while ago. But
yeah, it was
incredible pieces, and also the Glory of Their Times videos that you were doing really
Yeah.
incredible, and just incredible endeavor. So
I cannot seem to finish an episode. I'm working on like 4 or 5 different things at one time. I
Right.
can't seem to finish any of them. I just get, well, I've been on a hunt. That's what, collectors do is they
Right.
go on hunts. And if you want to find the tough, rare cards, I mean, you just got to dig, really, really dig and make lots of contacts. And it's been eating up time, and I don't get to do some of these videos that I'm really wanting to do. I got a lot of them 3/4 of the way done, and the research is all done. I just haven't finished them. So
I will tell you the priority is digging for those cards. There is a knucklehead. There is one knucklehead who is a fan of yours. He said Doug has an amazing collection and an awesome friend in the hobby. That guy's a goofball, but we all know him. So
Ryan, I think Ryan had a question. This is for all, but I think probably it's going to gear more towards Doug because my pre-war knowledge is still building. But the Sporting Life cabinet checklist, a branch, Ricky, though none has ever been seen. Do you think it's out there?
I do. That's just my honest opinion, but yeah, I think one will show up eventually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
if it's been cataloged, someone has to have seen it, right? I mean, one would think, I don't know.
I mean, there's other cards that have been cataloged, but they're more rumored to probably not exist.
Okay.
But yeah, I think it exists. That would be a phenomenal card. That would be awesome.
Definitely so. So I think we'll definitely round it out here. It looks like everybody, there's a lot of people throwing flowers your way, man. This was seriously as good as walk through a museum. Andrew says, Doug, congrats on your card collection and sharing as well as the knowledge. Mangini, the president, is phenomenal showing. Thanks for what you do for the hobby. Mark, love seeing all those cards, Doug. Thank you for sharing. So
yeah, I can't wait to meet Mark someday. I've just seen his museum in his room.
Oh gosh,
man.
yeah, and it is a museum. That's a proper way to say it. My God.
Yeah.
I'm very proud to say that I helped add something to his museum that he didn't
Really?
already have. It was 1981, like a 1980s wind-up clock, or wind-up clock, and it was Ted Williams.
Yes.
I seen that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I found one.
You were in an antique shop or something?
Yeah, I took a photo of it, and I asked him if he had it, and he said no. And he's like, and I told him how much it was going for, and he goes, "Can you buy it for me?" And I said, "Sure."
I will tell you this, Sammy. You may have some competition with a player-worn watch at Strongsville. My mother found something at her house and sent me a text 2 days ago. So you may have some competition. I may be wearing a player-worn watch.
Are you talking about wearing my Willie Mays?
Yeah, you're wearing it, right, at Strongsville?
I have to get it fixed first, but yeah, certainly.
I have to do the same with the one my mother found, and it's probably not quite as cool as yours, but I love it.
Yeah, that's cool.
So I'll try and wear that one as well.
Cool, man. All right, man. Well, listen, Doug, thank you so much for joining us tonight, man. That was a real pleasure.
Anytime.
Yes.
So I think I'm trying to think because it's 2 weeks. I think we'll probably be able to squeeze in one more episode. It just depends. I have to check the calendar going forward and see right now, actually. Next week is free for me. So I don't know about you, Jason, but
works for me.
We'll
figure something out.
I'm going to put a shameless plug in for my buddy Jason from Cards and Comics. We've been really great friends for years and years and years, and he lives in New York. I live in Indianapolis, so we don't get to talk a lot. So we decided that we were just going to get on StreamYard and just talk to each other. And so then Jason's like, well, shoot, we're already talking to each other. Why don't we just put it on record? Because that's pretty much what the show is about anyway. It's just catching up and talking, geeking out about, cards. And so we end up putting the channel together. So, I was going to tell you, Sammy, real quick. Jason won he's a big Chief Bender fan. He won the Chief Bender Pinkerton in the REA.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Was it the Pinkerton cabinet or the Pinkerton postcard?
It was the Pinkerton blank back.
Oh yeah, for sure.
It was
Yeah,
I think an SGC4.
wow.
It's gorgeous. It's absolutely gorgeous. So
There's not that many of those.
no,
I can't
I
imagine.
told
there's
him
a lot.
he needs to bring it to Strongsville so
Yeah, so I could see it.
Yeah,
I'd love to see that because I mean, I only know a handful of people that have them. Eric from the Detroit Collector has the Huey Jennings.
yeah.
I have now both Mathewsons, the scorecard back and the blank back. But I love seeing them in general. There's a huge mystery that shrouds around that set, so it's always
Right.
fun to see them.
Yep.
That's cool. Very cool.
All right,
Well, thanks
man.
for having me on, guys. I
Yeah, of
enjoyed it
course.
immensely,
No,
always
thank you for
awesome.
joining. Perfect.
Yeah. and can't
All
wait
right,
to see all you guys in Strongsville.
Yes.
Absolutely, 2 weeks, roughly. Yeah, 2 weeks.
Yep.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
all right, everybody. We'll see you next week, and then Strongsville in 2. So, have a good night, everybody. Take care.